Penguin Random House Audio presents Rise Above. Overcome a victim mindset, empower yourself, and realize your full potential. This is the author, Scott Barry Kaufman, Ph.D. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Carl Jung. Introduction. Listen, I wish I could tell you it gets better, but it doesn't get better. You get better. Joan Rivers. My entire career has been an attempt to discover our greatest potential and show people what's truly possible, to help people break out of their imprisoning labels and show that diagnoses aren't destiny. But somehow in the past few years, this idea has become controversial. It's almost as if we've stopped believing in our potential for growth and development. Life's challenges now seem insurmountable, and we've begun to cling to diagnostic labels, sometimes even inventing them for ourselves, so strongly that we can't see ourselves as anything else. Our obstacles have become so ingrained in our self-concept that we don't recognize what we could become, and we don't see that these obstacles are, in many cases, our path to our potential, that we become our greatest self because of, not in spite of, life's challenges. To be fair, we weren't exactly getting it right before either. Society largely overlooked the very real challenges people faced. We were in many ways discouraged from sharing our struggles, and that certainly wasn't healthy. It's still true that we have real problems to work through, and the things we're facing can be extremely hard to overcome. Yet somewhere along the way, we overcorrected. Our solution has become a problem too. We're living in a time where we identify so strongly with our victimhood that our potential has taken a back seat to our pain. Hey, I get it. Life can be a total shit show. But life can be other things too. It can also be full of moments of beauty, joy, wonder, awe, meaning, intimate connections, and potentially the realization of your full creative and humanitarian possibilities. Look, it takes work to embrace the messiness of life. It's hard to summon the courage to take responsibility for your whole complex human self and engage in the trial and error required to navigate it all with self-compassion and self-connection. But holy moly, will developing that skill set lead you to a life you never even imagined could be possible. So much is already there within you. But to access it, you have to stop fixating on what's wrong and start doing some cognitive reframing. You've got to expand your perception to include not just your obstacles, but the opportunities they bring. I realize this may sound like I'm telling you to simply put on a happy face, but nothing could be further from the truth. This isn't about magical thinking. It's about making a very real shift in your mindset from one that will keep you perpetually feeling like a victim to one that will unleash your ability to overcome. I say all of this as a cognitive scientist, author, professor, and self-actualization coach who has spent the last 25 years of my career formally studying the mysteries of human intelligence, creativity, personality, and neurodiversity, and how to unlock human potential. What in the world do these topics have to do with a victim mindset? As I've discovered, a whole lot. The Victimhood Trap. Heads up! In this book, I'm going to be using some words and phrases that will probably feel uncomfortable, at least at first. I'm talking about terms like victim mindset, narcissism, and neuroticism. Usually when we encounter these phrases, we welcome them to the extent that they're used to describe someone else, typically someone you already don't like very much. For example, my ex-husband was such a narcissist, or those snowflakes have such a victim mindset. Rarely do we look inside and contemplate whether this applies to us, even just a little. It's our sensitivity to these words that makes us not want to see such behaviors or characteristics in ourselves. Yet I pretty much guarantee you that at least in some circumstances, you lapse into these patterns of thinking and behaving. That's because at one time or another, we all do. Narcissism, like many of the other characteristics and behaviors I'll talk about in this book, occurs on a continuum. And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's simply a personality trait, and we pretty much all exhibit some degree of it now and then. Yes, some of us more than others, but the extremes are the outliers. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's really important to not seize on words like these and view them as concrete diagnoses or make them the sole part of our identity. As we'll explore in this audiobook, self-diagnosing and over-medicalizing natural human behaviors and experiences is one of the biggest challenges we face these days when it comes to realizing our potential. One of my primary goals with this book is to help you develop a more flexible identity. I want to help you see that a little dysfunction here and there is totally normal and not something to get hung up on. I also aim to convince you that whatever is true in this moment can change. Who we are is not static. That's why I generally prefer phrases such as people who score high in narcissism over narcissist. The latter sounds so labeling and set in stone. It's true that there are some aspects of ourselves we can't totally shift, but as I'll show you, we actually have a remarkable ability to steer our outcomes. So when you encounter these words, phrases, and ideas, please hold them gently. Don't point them at yourself like weapons. They're meant to help you gain understanding to fuel your growth, not give you ammunition to judge yourself or others. Take the phrase victim mindset. Without judging, listen to these features of a victim mindset and think through how they apply in your own life. Having a victim mindset means you tend to blame your problems on external circumstances, whether it's that life has dealt you a bad hand, or that a person or even an entire group of people have it in for you and are holding you back. You attribute all or most negative outcomes or challenges in your life to your past or that one thing that happened to you. You're often distrustful of people and wonder what people want from you if they give you something positive. You rarely give people the benefit of the doubt if they seem mean to you. You tend to take things personally. You believe you don't need to take responsibility for your actions or reactions because of past trauma. You tend to feel entitled to good things in life because you've suffered or are suffering. You tend to feel entitled to behave aggressively or selfishly because of your suffering. You often believe your suffering is more important than anyone else's suffering. You seek recognition of your victimhood beyond healthy sharing. For instance, you are quick to tell your story to total strangers or at inappropriate times. You often feel a sense of moral superiority and accuse others of being immoral, unfair, or selfish, while seeing yourself as a moral and ethical angel. You often lack empathy for the pain and suffering of others, unless perhaps they are part of your identity group. You can't stop ruminating about your past victimization. You may even fixate on how to enact revenge, and you rarely think about solutions or ways of moving forward with your life with hope and purpose. I bet it's easy now to see how pretty much all of us end up engaging in a victim mindset at some point. Even if you don't hang out there a lot, there can still be that one issue or circumstance that can get you stuck in what I refer to as the victimhood trap. It's a trap because the more you dwell in that headspace, the more you will continue to dwell there, making it harder to eventually get out and move forward with your life. Also, just to be clear, having a victim mindset does not mean you were never a victim of a terrible life circumstance. You've never had real pain. You aren't suffering right now. You should stop fighting for justice. You should ignore systems that have a powerful effect on our psychology. Being or having been a victim is not synonymous with having a victim mindset. You can also not have been a victim and still have a victim mindset. That's right. Having a victim mindset can be independent of actual victimization. This is so freaking important. For those among us who have been victimized, you absolutely should not be blamed for what's happened, and no one should criticize you for having a victim mindset. Again, this isn't about shaming and blaming. Yet in spite of your past experiences, you can still take responsibility for how you show up in this world and what you're going to do to help yourself cope with future uncertainties and challenges. To me, and I hope to you too, that's what real empowerment looks like. And for those who haven't been victimized but still claim victim status, well, there's hope for you too. For reasons I'll unpack in this audiobook, these days people are often encouraged to highlight their perceived victimhood. But while that may garner attention in the short term,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?